Actually, I want to start with some thank yous. The budget that we're presenting today is a process to get to this point where a proposed budget is presented to the entire council and to the general public. With that said, it's not a one-man band. If anything, it's a team led by the finance department who works very hard, from input from department heads and city employees, from input from community and residents, input and feedback from counselors individually and collectively. Process of not just going into numbers, but how we make impact in our community and on behalf of our employees. With that said, I want to start by thanking Diana Bolden, who leads the Department of Finance for the city of Birmingham. Along with her team, Alicia Coleman, Derek Gray, Cornita Eskridge, Dorothy Mall, and is it Lindia, because I got to get her first name right, Ms. Stinson. They're here, seated here, and they put in some impressive work and time to get us to this point. So I wanted to publicly acknowledge them and everyone else, Chaz Mitchell and all of the other chiefs and everyone else who's had a hand in this budget. I think you all have just received the 2026 proposed budget. There are a couple of things I want to share as it relates to this operating budget. First of all, the 2025-26 operating budget builds on our continued momentum in resurfacing our streets, which continues to be a top priority, not just for the council, but for the general public, as well as advancing a public safety strategy that you all have continued to support, which includes recruiting more police, as well as investing in our youth. This proposed 2026 budget is $591 million. Again, this proposed 2026 budget is $591 million. We want to note in detail some of our shared priorities, which include neighborhood revitalization, public safety, investments in our youth, and services for the unhoused, as well as our city employees. Starting with neighborhood revitalization, this proposed budget combined is for neighborhood revitalization is $21.8 million, which is a $750,000 increase from last year. That includes $15 million for street paving, weed abatement $3 million, which is up $250,000, demolition $2 million, which is up $500,000, and sidewalks again at $1 million, traffic calming again at $500,000, and recycling at $300,000. Please note, as it relates to since FY19, we have budgeted more than $100 million in street resurfacing. FY19 had $15.9 million. FY20 was $10 million. FY21 was $10 million. 22 was $8.4 million. And then FY22 again was $10 million from the surplus that was approved March 29, 2022. FY23 had $15 million. FY24 was $14.5 million. Current budget we're in now that ends June 30th, that you received the paving list for 2025, is also $15 million. And this proposed budget again to you is $15 million. Wanted to shift to public safety and violence reduction. And this budget invests $6 million in rolling stock with a commitment of additional $1 million for police vehicles. This is on top of the money. This is in addition to the money you approve for the retention recruitment plan. Now, in partnership with the council, you all know that we launched, again, the $15.8 million for recruitment and retention in October, and it's shown positive results. But this proposed budget also includes common ground conflict resolution in partnership with Birmingham City Schools at $1 million. The Park and Recreation Safe Haven Initiative of $625,000, which is up $125,000. We talked about this for quite some time. This was even part of the recommendation from the Crime Commission report to centralize and reboot our youth sports. That's at $500,000. There will be more to come with a public presentation to the council and to the general public related to the detail of this youth sports league. The Restore Youth Reentry Initiative, which is something each of you champion, is doubled. Last year they were in the budget for $225,000. This year they will be in the budget for $450,000. And then on top of that, additional community violence intervention is $1.5 million. Please recall that with the combination of the NICJR, Gun Violence Reduction Strategy, the RSA, which is known as One Hood Citywide Initiative, of course, OAA, Hospital Link Violence, and TC, the Streets teams, and the Live Free training. All these programs are currently underway with significant resources already on the ground to the tune of, I think, $4 million. So this $1.5 million, in addition to the double the cost for the Restore program, adds over $5 million towards violence reduction, which is separate and apart from the police department's budget. But again, this 1.5 will mainly go towards the second half of the year as we continue to draw down on the significant amount of existing funding that we have not totally spent yet on all the initiatives that are currently underway that you all support and led by us. I want to move on to youth investments. You all know as a city we're committed to supporting our youth in education. I think it gets lost a lot that $87 million pretty much goes directly to the school system. That doesn't require council approval from ad valorem taxes. So I think it's important to note, especially when intentional misinformation is put out there that we don't fund education. It's because it's not necessarily part of our process because it's baked into our ad valorem. The city school system's budget is made up of local tax dollars, state funding, federal funding, and of their budget, they receive $87 million from the city of Birmingham. Now, on top of that $87 million, this proposed budget includes an additional $5 million to support Cradle to Career. That includes $2 million for the Birmingham Promise, $1 million for mental health, an additional $1 million for financial literacy, $250,000 for Small Magic, which is formerly known as Birmingham Talks. It's a early childhood initiative, and then Kids and Jobs at $210,000. There's been a lot of issues centered around homeless that we've attempted to address in the current fiscal year. We're upping the ante in the next fiscal year in this proposed budget. Of course, you all know in last year the city invested in the HEART program with Urban Alchemy at $1.8 million to provide support and resources to individuals experiencing homelessness. And then you also know we selected and you all approved the Home for All initiative, which is $2.8 million. And so in this new budget, we will invest another $1.5 million in services for the unhoused. The Community Development Department, this is on top of the community development that oversees $800,000 for the community development block grant dollars that details various programs that engage in, from a programmatic housing, rehabilitation, and so many more things that I don't have time to name related to our unhoused residents. I want to move on to public transportation. The Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority, known as BJCTA, will receive a proposed $11 million. The Express Bus Rapid Transit will be proposed $3 million. And Birmingham On Demand, powered by VIA, $2.5 million. And last but certainly not least, because we cannot do anything without our employees, I want to talk about the package we have for our employees. This budget reflects continuing investment in our city employees. I want to start with the city as it relates to healthcare benefits. As an employer, we will absorb any additional costs for our employees. So our employees will not have any additional costs towards their healthcare costs this year. The employers, what we're absorbing is $3.6 million. In addition to that, There will be a 5% merit pay for all eligible employees. That is to the tune of $3.9 million. Longevity pay for eligible employees, that's to the tune of $1 million. And then this year, cost of living adjustment, also known as COLA at 1%, which is $4.2 million. I want you to recall since FY18, all employees have received, all general service employees have received a 17% pay increase from cost of living adjustment since FY18. That doesn't include merit or longevity. Public safety employees have received 22% pay increase from cost of living adjustment. Again, this doesn't include merit or longevity pay. There's another note related to our pending actuary report from our actuary related to our pension. As the employer, the city will contribute $40 million for our pension. This does not include the recommendation from the pension board of the $400 a month for every retiree. Please note the following. In my left hand, we have, when you include, I want to get it right. Bear with me 1 second, here it is. When you include all classified, permanent, unclassified, when you include all classified and unclassified employees, we have 4,000 plus current employees. And those who are eligible will receive the benefits I named. This budget, as you know, has a slight increase from last year. So we were not able to honor the recommendation out of the general fund budget to support this $18 million on top of the $40 million related to the pension fund. I am wrapping up, but as I close out, I think some people are still locked into COVID year. We had to make tough decisions. Those decisions haven't had to be made in the last 4 or 5 budget cycles. Why do I say that? I received a note from an employee at a restaurant probably about 3 weeks ago. They handed me my bag, and it was a note stapled to the bag, and it says, please don't cut the library funding. So I just want to make a public note and request in this budget. The libraries are receiving 100% of their requests. I also want to make a note that there's a significant increase in park and recreation to the tune of almost $3 million because we really want to support our youth sports. We want to support the reimagining of some of our parks, so that includes half of the money related to a very important study that needs to be undertaken. But we've been guaranteed as a municipality that the private sector has interest in funding this plan as well, if the city showed initiative first. And there's some other things related to increase in maintenance of our, our pools as well. So we just wanted to share publicly that there's a super focus and increase in resources for park and recreation to support our youth sports, and youth activity related to our citizens and families. And then, of course, you've noticed what I've said about the libraries. Major focus on our youth, major focus on public safety, and a super focus on our city's infrastructure related to street paving and other things related to our city's infrastructure.